Let's get to some fun stuff. So we don't really know based off of this document set what color everything is, but since this is a schematic design set we're preparing for, generally within schematic design sets you have colored elevations. It's meant to give the client sort of an idea of what the building actually looks like. Then, once they approve that schematic design, they sort of have that idea of what it looks like. You can move forward into the more technical drawings, which are a lot harder for the clients to understand in many cases. But anyway, so we're going to kind of take a guess, and really all I'm going to do is just create one material for the lap siding and another material color for the plaster, and then we'll do something else for the roof material. Anyway, so we're looking at the building right here. I still haven't done a lot of the exterior detailing, all those like pilaster bump outs and columns and everything like that. We'll do that at a later date. But colorization wise, you just need to know how to set colors for the view, and then how to set colors for each of the assemblies. So the colorization elements are found under, I always mess this up. Yeah. So this graphic display options, guys, I want to just point out that this menu is kind of like it's like a menu version of all of the elements that you see at the bottom of your screen. Like this stuff kind of down here. A lot of that happens to live here. Not all of it, but a lot of that. So we're going to change the style, which the style you can also find in this little button down here, and the little box button. We're going to change that style to consistent colors, and we're going to hit OK. And you'll see that it doesn't look very good, does it? They're at certain stages, we're going to change what things sort of are colored like and what they represent as. But for now, we're just going to focus on these walls. So let's grab one of our wall type assemblies. That's this one right here. This is the lap siding one. I'm going to say edit type, and I'm going to go into the structure. Now, what you need to know is that colors are a material property. So we go into the lap siding material. That's the one that happens to be on the outside, right? You won't be able to see the wood studs because they're totally enclosed in your wall. This is where we start to get into those assets. Okay, and I want you to be very careful with asset properties as they're associated with materials. And in order to illustrate what's going on with this, well, let's change one first, and then I'll show you what could go wrong in the next video. So basically, there are some things to consider. There's a graphics panel and there's an appearance panel. The graphics panel is generally speaking, what shows up when you're using consistent colors, which is a representational color mapping. Like, I could make my wood appear with like a fuchsia color rather than the actual wood grain. Does that make sense? The appearance tab is where you actually have the material itself, if that makes any sense. So if I switch to, say, oak flooring, you'll see that this material appearance tab shows the actual material oak flooring, whereas the graphics panel actually just shows a color that's representative of the wood flooring. Does that make sense?
Yes, Kevin.
Yes,
okay.
Yes, Kevin.
Thank you. I'm going to start a checklist and make sure that every single one of you says yes. And then we won't move on until you've all said yes.
Start from here.
Yep. Okay. Please don't. Please don't. Too soon. Okay. It's always too soon for that one. Okay. All right. So anyway, I lost my train of thought. So we've got a couple of things. There's shading, surface pattern, and cut pattern. The cut pattern, you guys should be aware of by now. The cut pattern will show like when it cuts it in section, what does it look like? So generally, you don't want to make cut patterns have a color. The surface pattern is the lines that go on the surface. So if I changed this to be like red and hit OK and hit OK and then hit OK and hit OK again, you'll see that all of those lines show up red, right? The line, that's just the pattern itself, not the wall. So going back in there, the shading is the hatch color of the material. So that's where we're going to change it to something that it looks like whatever color lap siding we're going to use. And I'm actually going to go for something that's sort of like a green painted lap siding. In case you want to see it visually, let's look at it this way. Let's go for that kind of color. What do you say? It almost looks gray up on there, but I assure you it is green. Like that.
That is 128, 128, 0. Your RBG.
How'd you get that so quickly?
Because I already had it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, pretty close. 128, 128, 0. Let's try it. 128, 128, 0. That's a little too olive. I'm gonna go with something more like this.
Oh, that just cut me to the bone. That did.
Sorry, man. Let's go with something sort of down here in the grayish area. Keep it pretty well saturated, but kind of lean a little on the yellow. I'm having a tough time here. I'm really bad at color too. Don't worry. So yeah, we'll go with that. All right, 102, 131, 101 for now. Okay, we can change it anytime, or something like that. So then you just hit OK, hit OK, hit OK, and boom, you've got your siding. Now it's a little bit tough to see the actual, laps themselves. Is that the correct plural form of that? Laps. Anyway, it's probably something like that. We'll go with it. We'll go with it. I'll let YouTube tell me I'm wrong. So I'm going to change that color so that it shows up a little bit better because there's just not enough contrast right now. So I'm going to change this to black. There. Now it shows up a little bit better. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So the other thing I'm going to do here is change our plaster material. And I really like greens and tans. I feel like greens and tans go well together. So I'm going to say edit type, edit that, and then go to plaster. And I'm going to change my shading to be sort of a tan material, and a pretty light tan at that. So almost white. Trying to find a picture example, but oh well. You can go with something like this: 227, 225, 219. That should do it. Whole lot in the twos. Okay, there you go. So there's one other thing that I want to run through with you for materials for now, before we start getting into all the detail on the exterior of this building and stuff, and that's just the roof. Okay, the roof right now is super generic. It's easy enough for us to switch the material type to something like a wood rafter with an asphalt shingle roof, and what I want you to do if you do that, actually I would like you to do that, is just go into the asphalt shingle material and change it to a more browny sort of color. So something like a reddish brown. Get a little bit of red in there. Okay, and the top, how you know you did it right is the top should look a little different than the bottom. Okay, so we're going to swap all of our roof structures to those. I hate it already. But we can fix it. That's the beauty of this smart model.
I'm telling you, it's your green, man. It's your green.
Like a duck.
Yeah, what kind of color would you change the green to be?
I'd leave it after 128.
More olive?
I'd leave it at the 128.
128, 128, 0? All right, let's go for it. Let's go for it. Let's see how genius you are with your color theory.
I'm pretty hemorrhoidal also with colour.
Oh, oof, that's brutal.
Risk it.
Ugh.
Bang.
Ugh.
Beautiful.
Oh, it looks really brown up here. It looks really like I don't want to say it, but babies produce it a lot.
Babies would love this wall.
All right, we're going to stick with this for a little bit. Okay, guys. So go through the process of working through that a little bit, and then we'll just kind of keep detailing and stuff and making this thing look good.
Sounds good, Kevin.
So now I've got to go